July 1518. The city of Strasbourg. A woman steps out of her house into the summer heat and starts to dance. There is no music. There is no festival. There is no rising. She just dances. She dances until her feet are raw. She dances until she collapses from exhaustion. And when she wakes up, she keeps dancing. Within a week, more than 30 people have joined her. Within a month, chroniclers count around 400. And then people start to die. This is the story of the dancing plague of 1518, one of the strangest documented events in human history. And 500 years later, we still cannot fully explain it. Let's set the scene. Strasbourg on the River Rhine. Today it's in France. Back then it was a free city of the Holy Roman Empire. About 20,000 people crammed inside the city walls. And in 1518, life here is miserable. The harvests have failed again. Bread prices have exploded. The poor are selling everything they own just to eat. On top of the hunger come the diseases. Smallpox, leprosy, the sweating sickness which can kill you in a single afternoon. People are exhausted, terrified, and deeply religious. Keep that combination in mind, it matters later. Then comes the 14th of July. A woman known as Frau Trophia walks into the street and begins her dance. Her husband begs her to stop. She doesn't. Hour after hour, day after day, she dances through the summer heat. After about a week, she's carried away, half dead. Problem solved, you would think. Except now, 30 more people are dancing. Men and women, day and night, in the streets of Strasbourg. Witnesses describe them as absent, like sleepwalkers, screaming for help, begging bystanders to free them, unable to stop their own legs. Now the city council steps in, and they make one of the worst decisions in medical history. The doctors have diagnosed the problem as overheated blood, and the prescribed cure is more dancing. The council clears out guild halls, builds a wooden stage, and hires professional musicians. They turn a disease into a public festival. You can guess what happens next. The music draws crowds, the crowds draw new dancers. The plague explodes across the city. By August, hundreds are dancing. One chronicle claims that at the peak, up to 15 people died in a single day. Heart attacks, strokes, pure exhaustion. Dancing in the summer of 1518 is lethal. The council reverses course in a panic. Dancing is banned, the musicians are sent home. The city outlaws music altogether, except, and this is real, for weddings where only string instruments are allowed. No drums, drums wake the madness. Finally, the city loads the dancers onto wagons. They are driven to a mountain shrine of St. Vitus, the patron saint of dancers. Their priests place small red shoes on their feet, sprinkled with holy water. They walk them around a wooden figure of the saint. And slowly through September, the dancing fades away, as suddenly and as quietly as it began. Before we get to the theories, try to imagine it from the inside. Survivors' accounts, filtered through the chronicles, describe something like a trance. The dancers didn't seem to enjoy it. They wept, they screamed in pain. Some begged spectators to tie them down and broke free anyway. Imagine your own body refusing to obey you in front of the whole city. For weeks. Which leaves us with the obvious question. What on earth was that? Over the centuries, 3 big theories have emerged. Theory 1, poisoning. Ergot is a fungus that grows on damp rye. It produces compounds related to LSD. Eat contaminated bread and you hallucinate. But there's a problem. Ergot also cuts off your blood flow and triggers violent convulsions. Nobody dances on it for a week straight. Theory 2, a religious frenzy, the curse of St. Vitus. People genuinely believed the saint could punish sinners with a dancing curse. But belief alone doesn't explain the sheer physical extremes. Which brings us to Theory 3, the one most historians favor today. Mass psychogenic illness. In plain words, an epidemic that spreads not through germs but through minds. Extreme, chronic stress builds up in a community that already believes in a dancing curse. One person snaps into a trance, others see it, their brains follow. And here's the thing, 1518 was not the first time. In 1374, a wave of uncontrollable dancing swept through dozens of towns along the Rhine. Same religion, same belief, same misery. And Strasbourg wasn't even unique. In southern Italy, for centuries, people struck by so-called tarantism danced for days to sweat out a spider's venom. Scientists later checked the spiders. The venom does no such thing. The dancing came from the belief, not the bite. Different country, different story, same human software bug. If that sounds like something safely buried in the Middle Ages, it isn't. In 1962, a laughing epidemic shut down schools in Tanganyika for months. In 2021, doctors worldwide reported teenagers developing identical sudden tics. Their common exposure wasn't a village square. It was social media. So why Strasbourg and why 1518? Because every ingredient was in place at once. Famine at its worst in living memory. New diseases nobody understood. A church that preached punishment and a saint said to curse people with dance. Stress, belief, and a trigger. That's the whole recipe. The dancing plague of 1518 ended without an answer. No germ was ever found, no poison was ever proven. Which means the most likely explanation is also the most unsettling one. A whole city danced itself to death on nothing but fear, belief, and stress. And if that's true, it never really needed the Middle Ages. It just needs pressure and a crowd. If you want more true stories that sound completely made up, subscribe to Mind Rush. Because history is full of them.